Last time out at Zolder, a new winner emerged in the GT3 championship in the pro class. The German Luca Felipe emerging from the shadows to become the first non-Andrew Ritchson or Jonathan Seville winner, I should say. The German taking his first win in the series and his first race in the series, I believe, in dominant style. With the championship leader Jonathan Seville not being around tonight, I believe this gives the likes of Sam Svenkelink a chance to close that gap down in the championship. In the semi-class championship, it's still really close between the top three, with Sweden's Andreas Glen taking the win last time out at Zolder, with Danny de Swart in second and Simon Walks rounding out the top three. Tonight we visit Cota, a track that's not been around that long on the ACC platform, but it's one of those tracks that some people seem to like, some people seem to hate, but nevertheless tonight it should provide some great racing. Hello, my name is Ryan Walker, and alongside me calling the accent is Dave Hedges, with Tom Van der Meer doing his magic on the cameras. And first off, Dave, it's good to have you around tonight. And Cota, it's one of those tracks, like I say, it's what some people seem to like it, some people seem to hate it. It's a bit of a Marmite track, if you like.
Yeah, hi Ryan, hi everyone, and good evening. And yeah, Cota, it's a bit of an enigma. It's got some excellent corners, obviously built to mimic some of the best tracks in the world in terms of things like Maggots and Beckett's through the first sector in turn 3 to turn 6. But the track limits in ACC are killer, on this track. So we could see quite a lot of track cuts and possibly some drive-throughs occurring through the race. So it's going to be an interesting watch. And obviously, as you said, it's we're missing the with Jonathan Seville at the moment, in terms of the race this evening. So, it's going to be interesting to see if the drivers who are below him in the table can really make it count tonight when he's away.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, look at Felipe took his first one in the series in the league as well, and pretty much dominant fast, and no one could touch him. Even Clay Barry, who's in championship contention, could not touch him. But in the semi class as well last time out, there was quite a lot of action going on in the closing stages, with the likes of Aaron Van Drunen being right up there to take a good result, until unfortunately the issues outside of his control just kind of ruined his racing away. But still, Aaron's still in with a slight chance of that semi-class championship. But I think we've got 2 rounds remaining after tonight, I believe. I think he needs to try and maybe start getting class wins to try and reel himself back in.
Yeah, for sure. And as we see on screen at the moment, we've got Zlatko Pavlovic, who's an SSRi veteran who unfortunately couldn't join the start of the season, but he's always a quick car. I think he's been away from the sim a little while. He did his pre-season test and qualified in the Pro-Am silver category. So I think he'll find that he has got the speed to be up the top there as well, as you can see at the moment in P5, but 1.25 seconds behind. But yeah, I always think they're brave people driving a Porsche around any track, to be honest. And it's a nice race car when it's got weight in over the front. But during qualification, it's a bit of a handful. As you can see there, it looks like he almost lost it on the last corner, but managed to keep it going in the straight line. But he's pulled over there. It's probably ruined the lap there, but it looks like for getting a little bit squirrely on the sausage curves on the exit there.
Absolutely. We're just coming to the closing stages of qualifying, looking at Sept at the moment, coming into the hairpin, heading onto the back straight. And some random facts about the track as well. It's 3.4 miles as well, so, and about 42 to 52 feet which is the minimum and maximum width of the track. And then it's got 11 left turns and 9 right turns. So it's got a bit of a variation with regards to how many corners there are for left-handers and right-handers. And then it's 130 feet of elevation, and the track was completed back in the year 2012. So it's it doesn't even feel that long ago that this track was newly opened, and it's hosted up to quite a range of series as well, from MotoGP to NASCAR, Formula 1, a bit of club racing, you name it. It's probably visited here at some point. And in time, and it's host to the GT3 series tonight. And even though the turnout's only low, we've only got 20 cars, I believe. So, but still, it should be a great race nevertheless. As Sven Klink's coming around the final quarter, and it looks to be a decent lap at the moment as he's coming across the lane, and it looks like is he going to improve? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. It goes up to. Was he? Oh no, he didn't. Sorry, he didn't improve. No, it didn't. Wasn't quite quick enough there. So that's probably going to be his qualifying over if he has. Actually, no, he's got enough time to complete another lap. So he's just crossed the line before the checker flag drops. So Andreas Garlin, though, again, P3 at the moment in his Audi. Obviously, the Pro-Am driver there, the silver category. Doing quite well though, so at 0.8 seconds behind Felipe at the moment, and on this lap he's currently around 0.1 up, so around the back straight is obviously one of the longest straights. Well, it is the longest straight on this track, but it's massive straight, and it gives us a good chance for some overtaking in the GT3s, which generally can be quite difficult to get good overtaking manoeuvres, especially because the aeros are not as greatly impactful as something like the Formula One car, where you've got obviously massive amount of aeros. These are all about mechanical grip. With the GT3s, they're more aero than the GT4s, which helps them in terms of their overall grip, but in reality it still doesn't aid their overtaking on the straights too much. The draft isn't very strong normally. I think the Porsche of Zatko might struggle on the back straight because it tends to be a bit of a slower car in a straight line, on ACC certainly, with the Audi generally being one of those very quick cars. But Andreas there just sort of pulls off onto the gravel and goes back to pits.
It looks like qualifying's just about over and done with. So as Nard Cox goes for a ride into the wall, but it looks like we're coming to the closing stages of qualifying, and if some of the drivers that are starting their laps, this will be the only chance to improve. As that's qualifying over and done with, and we'll take you through the grid. It looks like Luca Felipe, continuing his form from Zolder 2 weeks ago, takes the pole position with Clayton Barney qualifying in second on the front row. And then Andreas Glen taking the class pole position for the silver class, and also third place overall. So a good day qualifying for him, with Dave Jr. in fourth, and then the second of the silver drivers in fifth place and second in class. Zlatko Pavlovic in fifth, and then sixth is Vincent Walczyk, and seventh is Ryan Leitz, eighth is Sam Svenkelink, ninth is Danny de Swart, and then 10th is Nard Cox, 11th is Martin van der Kraan, and then 12th is Nelson de Bruin, 13th is Jitse Madima, and then 14th is Aaron van Drunen, 15th Peter Vanya, 16th is Simon Walks, 17th Tim Nybauer, 18th is Zoran Planis, and 19th is Dan Lenson, rounding out the grid, and 20th is Sander Vale.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed grid. I must say it's going to be an interesting race, because obviously there's a few people out of position in terms of their class, but that's why we have a class system, and those guys and girls that are able to put in the laps when it counts. Obviously qualifying is very important, but it's a long race. We've obviously got a mandatory pit stop today with tyres and fuel required, so we'll be expecting them to stop for 30 seconds, which is the mandatory time for a pit stop in terms of tyres. But we could still get people stopping early, or trying to take advantage of some clear air while they can, especially if they're getting held up. And then I think we've only got two BMWs in the field there, with Dave Jr., the lead BMW at the top, which has always tended to be quite a strong car. Clearly the Honda's had a bit of a boost in the last update as well, which has helped Felipe and Clyde get up the top. I know Clyde and Sem. So I actually don't think Clyde ran it last year, but Sem Spenkelink and Nard Cox ran it last season, and I think they were ruined the day that they chose to race the Bentley this season, because the Honda did certainly look competitive after they decided to change.
Yeah, the Honda. I've done some races with the Honda and the offline laps, and it's a really quick car in a straight line. But it seems to be one of those cars that it seems to have a very a very understeering nature where it can catch you out and they spit you into the wall. It's one of those cars that you've kind of got to be on your toes at every lap and make sure it doesn't catch you out. Otherwise, it's one of those cars that you can be quick in, but you've got to be very smooth.
Yeah, it's like all the rear-engined or mid-engined cars, they have a very central center of gravity, and you can get a little bit twitchy and it just spits you out across the gravel. The Honda especially has quite an aggressive map on 2 of its maps, so you can find that it will spin the rear wheels up quite easily as well. So got to be mindful in the race. Obviously it's great for qualifying to have something that's quite aggressive, but these sprint races are quite long in terms of 90 minutes. So it's a nice race to get yourself stuck into. But obviously you got to go forward as well, and you've got to make sure you stay on the track. Unlike what I've managed to do the last few races I've raced, it's always seemed to be in the wall or being spun around. So hopefully that won't be the case for people there. And obviously you see Sem and Nod, 2 line astern there, so they won't be too aggressive into turn 1 there, I don't think, being teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look through the grid now, and I think, especially at turn 1 as well, you were talking about that. Turn 1 is one of those corners that's so easy to overrun the corner because you're going so quick, and then all of a sudden you have to try and find a braking point into turn 1, and it's one of those corners I find that you can take an early apex or a late apex, maybe try and kind of round the corner off and try and get a run in the exit, but especially that twisty section after turn 1, that you've got those sausage curves, if you like. If you take too much, say, like inside curb or too much of the curves in some places that catch them, it can really end your race.
Yeah, it's so wide turn 1 as well. It opens out obviously into the apex. Anyone who's watched the Formula 1 on the TV that know that it's a bit of a pinch point after the apex, because it goes rapidly thinner after the turn. We'll see it as Felipe pulls away on his warm-up lap, but we'll see how wide it gets. But it does, like you say, there's multiple entry points. Because it's uphill as well, it makes it a lot easier to brake later, and you just get the opportunity to actually really send one. But we'll see. I'm sure we'll see maybe 3-4 wide potentially up into that corner, especially if people are deciding to maybe make a late braking move up the outside, for instance, to get the inside of the first part of the S's.
Yep, the first part of the S's are coming up to now on the formation lap, and I do like that. It's probably one of my favourite sections of track just because it's such a fun challenge. But if you get it wrong, like I say, you clip those sausage curbs, they can go horribly wrong. But if you nail this section, it feels so rewarding. And this section we're coming up to here, it's one of those sections that coming up to the back straight, you've kind of got to set up the run to head down to the hairpin and try and get a run on someone, I find. But I think the best passing opportunities I think around this track tonight is going to be, if you get a good exit on the hairpin heading onto the back straight, you might be able to get a run on someone. But I think the car around here, like you say, Dave, I think the Porsche could be the car at a disadvantage on that back straight, just because it seems to handle well in the high speed corners, but on a straight it just seems to lack that top end.
Yeah, it's got great out of corner grip, so into the hairpin and out of the hairpin. I think it will do quite well in terms of getting the power down. But the problem is it's got quite a fast quite a fast section into the hairpin at turn 11. So I think it will. I think the Porsche will struggle on race pace. But in reality, this track you've probably got 3 opportunities for overtaking straight into fairly slow corners, and I think turn 1's probably where we're going to see most of them, unless cars start running wide, like you say, through the S's section. You get, it is very rewarding if you get it right. But if you get out of line through one corner, it's a bit like Suzuka. You're out of line through everyone, and you're slow through it all, and people can just start to really close on you and get the opportunity into turn 11 into the hairpin to actually get past.
As we're coming up to this another tight twisty section here, but this is one of those sections that for me, I find it's not frustrating as such. It's more, it's kind of you want to get on the power straight away, but you've got to be really patient, and otherwise you'll just run either you run up, end up spinning or running wide, and they losing so much time. But this is probably my favourite corner here, this long right-hander, just because you can just about, I think in qualifying trim anyway, you can just about keep it flat, but with race fuel, it's kind of, you've got to be a little bit more patient as they're just coming round now and they're starting to form up now. And yeah, I think any predictions for tonight, Dave?
No. I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be a bit of fun. Having two Hondas at the front is obviously great, but it's great to see some other cars in there as well. So yeah, let's obviously have a clean race, but I think it's going to be great. Obviously, the sun's starting to set, so it's looking rather nice on screen as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they do in terms of any sun in their eyes. So let's go racing.
Yep, as we're just coming up to the start-finish line now, and it looks like we'll be underway in a few moments' time. And yep, there we go. I thought they were underway there, but I was just getting a bit overexcited there. But as we come up to the start-finish line now, it looks like we'll be underway right now. And yeah, away we go. And it looks like Clayton Barney, or Luca Felipe, I should say, has got the jump off the line and into turn one. And it looks like Barney runs wide a little bit just to try and make sure he's got enough room, but it looks like the Swede, Andreas Glen, is trying to make a move heading down to the S's here, but I think everyone's going to have to be sensible and try and tuck in.
Dave Jr. there managed to get up the inside there. Looks like he's going to get past. He's certainly got past Zlatko Pavlovic, and he's made his move into third.
Yeah, so an amazing start from Dave Jr. as well, up into third place, and he kind of gave Andreas Glen no option but to make him back out and pick up a position. So a good move from Dave Jr. and not hanging around on lap one, but coming up to the hairpin, heading onto the back straight. And one of the most difficult corners I find is as I say that, we've got a bit of action going on as well. Simon Wilkes trying to make a move, and can he get the momentum on the exit of the hairpin, and he's got the run heading down the home straight.
Yeah, look at the pace of that Audi. It's just pulling out, it's stretching its legs. Looks like Medema is actually going to have to fall back in line, but then there's another Audi behind him. That's Tim Niebauer, I think, that is in it, but it's on the outside there. So yeah, Medema's just managed to form back up under Simon Wilkes, but it looks like he's going to be put under pressure into turn 13.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like he tried to make a move, and Andreas just finding it a bit hard to settle down straight away. I think that being forced wide off the track by Dave Jr. ever so slightly maybe just unsettled him a little bit. But further back, we've got this battle between Simon Wilkes and it's John Planis and Dan Lenson going at it, and it looks like Lentz has lost the place, but maybe just deciding to be sensible and just settle down as behind him as well. He's got a McLaren of Vineyard trying to get by, and back up at the front, the Swede Andreas Glen takes that position back, and it looks like Dave Jr. I thought he was going to lunge it back up the inside, but Andreas decides, as Andreas gets sideways again, and one thing about the Audi is trying to get back on the power, or if you're too aggressive, it does seem to get a bit twitchy.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting a bit of understeer, which I drive the Audi quite a bit, and especially when you've got a lot of fuel in, you set the car up to have a bit of understeer at the start of the race, because it gets really twitchy after about 10 laps. So it looks like he's struggling with a little bit of understeer, but that will come back to him. But yeah, it looked like Dave Jr. probably made a mistake there, maybe into the last turn, and Andreas managed to get back past the start-finish straight. But then again, just understeer caused him a few issues as Dave Jr. goes defensive already into the hairpin, which is going to really compromise him onto the straight. And Andreas looks like he's going to get alongside, but is he going to pull back in? No, he's definitely alongside. So let's see how the drag is. I wonder if we can get a helicopter view there. Oh, lovely, Tom. Thank you very much. But yeah, so it's not quite the same speed difference between the Ferrari and the Audi, but certainly got a little bit there down the drag. And he's definitely late on the brakes. So as Dave Jr. is like he's going to get the switch back. and again understeering out into onto the corner. So he really needs to brake a little bit earlier there, I think, just to calm his tyres down and get through the apex and protect his position that he's gaining.
Yeah, I think Andreas was maybe just a little bit distracted there. But just behind that battle, we've got this battle for fourth place between Zen Svenkelink and it looks like Pavlovic as well. So Pavlovic trying to make a move when he saw the opportunity, but yeah, just a slight bit of contact between both him and Svenkelink there. But Sem needs to be very careful and think about it, because he's still mathematically in championship contention. So with Jonathan Seville not being around tonight, he should be thinking about the long game and just maybe thinking about trying to finish and picking up as many points as possible.
Yeah, it's just a bit of rubbing, isn't it? It's GT racing at the end of the day, so it's the no harm, no foul there. And Sem's looks like he's pulled out a little bit over Zatko there, so I think he should be okay. Just off down the road now, chasing Andreas. Yeah,
absolutely. As they look at it, excuse me, they look at it down in the Swart as well. They currently down in 8th place overall, and they currently third in the silver class. So being a decent start for Danny at the moment. I think he doesn't seem too eager to make any moves, but just in front of him as well, he's got Nard Cox in 7th place. So I think if Danny sees an opportunity, he might try and make a move. But just watching the body language, he seems more than happy to settle down and just get into a rhythm.
Yeah, I think these guys that are in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, they really need to settle down and just sort of try to put in the laps that the two people up front. There are 2 seconds a lap quicker than the others, so they're way faster, and they're just sort of concentrating on their own race now, whereas the others are really squabbling. It's really costing them a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. As they looking back up at the front, looking at our leader at the moment, look at Felipe, and Luca is just doing what he done at Zolder in the early stages. He's just pulling away and building up a bit of a gap, and Plate Barry just doesn't seem to have an answer to the pace of Felipe at the moment. And as they look at that fantastic shot there coming around that long right-hander, and I do like that long right-hander, but it does seem to give your left front tyre an absolute pounding, just because of also the track conditions as well. The 22 degrees ambient temperature, and it looks like 22 degrees track temperature. So it's not like massively hot, but it's still relatively warm. And I think some of these drivers are going to have to think about the tyre wear.
Yeah, clearly that looks like a bit of a trick from Luke there, staying way out onto the side of the track there, going into turn 1, which obviously is giving him the wider entry. But yeah, he's got to be really careful on the track limits. As you can see there, he's just very close to the white line, over it there, so he might get a track cut on that one, because that is one of the corners that gives you, some of them very tight track limits. So that just goes to show that really you do have to be careful on this track. And obviously we see the old Formula 1 cars from last year. They were climbing all over these curbs, apart from that corner there where they were obviously getting a lot of damage. But this year it unsettles the car because of the Venturi effect. But the GT cars can really go over these corners so easily. But obviously with track limits built into the sim, it's a little bit tricky by doing so. And I think like I said earlier, I think we could be seeing some drive-throughs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those tracks. It seems very easy to get a drive through if you abuse the track limits too much. And I've noticed that in a few other races in the past, that the drive throughs on ACC around this track are quite a common thing. As it looks like Sander Vale has made a move into the hairpin, and he picks up 18th place, or I think he's about to lose that 18th place actually, from it looks like Dan Lenson.
Yeah, Dan got the switch back there. He knew it was coming, so he took the wide line in. Broke a little bit earlier, managed to get up the inside. But man, that Aston Martin's obviously quick, and the Audi, is that Vilcek up the inside of Dan Lenson taking the place. Good move. Yeah.
Well, it was Vilcek indeed, and they takes that position, and he saw the opportunity and he pounced, and they took that position. But this Aston Martin, in a straight line, it's absolutely quick. From my experience of the races I've done with it, as looking at one of the silver class championship contenders, Aaron Van Drunen, still still slightly mathematically in with a chance of possibly taking the championship, but I think I think we've got 2 rounds to remaining after tonight. I think it's basically a big climb to try and get himself back into contention. So I think the rest of the season, or the remaining 2 rounds for Aaron, it's just a case of trying to salvage the best results possible. But at the moment, he's 11th overall and down in 5th or 6th place in class at the moment.
Yeah, I think Aaron's been, in some respects, been unlucky. He's been involved in quite a lot of incidents through the season, so yeah, he should be up higher than that, for sure. As we see, I think that's Simon Wilkes now beginning to put pressure up, as he runs wide, and actually looks like he dipped a tyre onto the grass there, which has allowed Niebauer to really close up on him, and he might actually get a run into turn 11, into the hairpin.
It looks like he's got the run, and it looks like Nybauer's got the run heading down to the hairpin. Can he try and close up on the brake and maybe try and take a late entry and try and square the corner off? It looks like he's got a good run here. He got a good exit on hairpin there, and I think the 2 Audis, because they're so basically both Audis have got the same sort of straight line speed. It looks like Tim's not able to close up as much as he hoped.
Yeah, see if he's late on the brake. Who's late on the brakes? Obviously, it looks like Simon there he's got it covered. Or just a little bit wide, but looks like he's okay there. It's obviously normally straight into that next corner as well, so it's not normally too bad there to run wide, as we've seen in quite a few races over the years.
Absolutely, as Tim's got, it looks like he's got Medema behind him as well, so having to keep an eye on what's behind him as well. And I think getting back on the power there in that twisty section, I think he lost a little bit of time there, but also look at Spenkelink, and doing well in 5th, and he's close right up to the back of Andreas Glen as well. So heading up to turn 1, they might be able to close up under braking, but I think it's a good point you mentioned about Andreas struggling with understeer possibly. I think don't know if that's a characteristic with the car, heavy fuel, if the car struggles with understeer, or if it's maybe just Andreas went the wrong way with the setup, but he seems to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, it to be honest, it doesn't actually suffer with understeer when it's got fuel in, but if you're having a reasonable stint in the car, you do try and put a bit of understeer into the setup, because the rear end does get very lively after about 9 or 10 laps, so it's safer and quicker to actually have a little bit of understeer at the start of the race. Your setup comes back to you, in the race. I've always found that after sort of 15-20 laps, you're putting in pretty much the same lap times as you would do on new tyres. So it's if you've driven the car a lot like I have, then you do tend to do that quite a bit, in terms of getting the race set up moving. But that obviously, I think those really quick guys that are able to really handle the lively rear end probably wouldn't bother. But I find it a lot safer doing so.
Yeah, I've noticed that with some of the. I've noticed that with some of the top teams in the SRO esports competitions, for example, that they seem to, depending on the car, they seem to like having the car set up to be really pointy. I think on ACC it seems to be the best way to go in the setup, and trying to extract. It seems to be the best way to extract pace out of the cars.
Yeah, especially the the front engine cars. Obviously, they need to have they've got a big old engine over their front wheels, so they need to jack up the rear end a little bit, just to help the front end grab, because you do suffer a lot with the understeer if you don't. But yes, every car's got different characteristics. The Aston Martin's pretty rubbish out of slow corners, because it's got a horrendous first gear, which is far too long really for this class of car. So Aston Martin made a bit of a mistake doing that when they developed the car for GT racing. So I think certainly we see it in this sim where off the line you always see the Astons losing positions because they just haven't got the low down speed.
As the cars come through the Swiss section now, and looking back at Van Drunen, still 11th place, 6th overall in the class, but he looks like he might lose another position in class and overall, because Simon Wilkes, so it's like in the Audi, it looks like he's closing right up under, right onto the back of him now, and might be able to close up under braking heading into the hairpin, but doesn't seem to be closing off, but he might be able to get a good run here and try and get a run on the Aaron heading down the straight. But again, Aaron looks like he got a great run, and Wilkes not close enough to make a move. But as I say that, he's getting a little bit closer in the slipstream, but he's not close enough. So looks like both these cars might be running similar sorts of similar levels of downforce.
Yeah, just looking at the lap times now as well, and it looks like they've decided to settle down really on, in terms of the racing, and they've actually now all pretty similar from second down to fifth in terms of lap time. So that battling at the start was really wasn't great for them in terms of their racecraft and their race positioning, but now they settled down, and it's all about probably a little bit more about strategy now. So anyone that's getting held up, maybe Garlin, who's now behind Spenkelink, excuse me, he may be thinking, am I going to get held up? Is it worth me pitting now to make sure I get some free air? But let's see how he goes. Obviously he's in a different class as different class driver, so they're not really racing for position. Obviously Andreas is P1 in his class, so we'll get the same points as Felipe in first.
Yeah, talking about strategy as well and pitting early, we have noticed that especially Aaron Van Drunen, he's actually been one that's pitted really early in a race just to try and get some clear air, and it always seems to, from what I've seen, it always seems to work for him, because in clear air he's able to put down some really quick laps, and it seems to gain him heaps of time in clear air, and they gain him massive amounts of positions as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, hot lapping. If you can be consistent and hot lap, then you're going to be by far quicker around the track than if you're racing somebody. But it's a difficult decision to make, because you're having fun, you're racing closely with somebody, but in reality, strategy is probably going to be very key to gaining big positions. We've seen Aaron obviously been caught up in a few incidents in the past, so he's probably been out of position based on his speed. So when you're getting held up 1.5 seconds a lap, it makes sense to get in the pits, as we see Aaron on De Bruyn here up into turn 12, and he's just a little bit later on the brakes. De Bruyn's looking like he's going to try and get the switch back, but Aaron has certainly made the apex well there, so he's not going to get the switch back at all.
Yeah, a good move from the Dutchman, and De Bruyn down to 11th place now, and I don't know, I've just got a feeling that Aaron might try and go for a longer stint in this race, especially around Cota. As I say that as well, De Bruyn behind him just run wide ever so slightly, and he might lose another position to, it looks like Simon Wilkes.
Yeah, so Simon Wilkes has come up from, was it P18 when we started, I think. So he's made some really big positions up over the process of the race. Just having a look on here, he's made up 5 positions so far, and just in terms of the runners and riders, Sem Spenkelink 4 positions up in P4. Nard Cox was made 3 positions up in P7, Aaron Van Drunen 4, Simon Wilkes 5, Niebauer up 4. The big losers, Ryan Leach there down 9 positions, and Vilcek down 13. So he's had a torrid time. He must have had an incident on the first lap, possibly, where he'd ended up at the back of the pack there. But Dan Lenson is currently running P20 still, so he's actually pretty much where he started, I think. Looks like.
Yeah, we've got this battle going on for looks like 11th place, or pretty much 11th place, 12th place, 13th place, and it looks like 14th as well, with Medema joining in as well. This battle for basically P11 is going on between this 4-car pack, and it pretty much all started with I think it was the 185 BMW of De Bruyn making a bit of a lunge into turn 1, and it caused a bit of a pack to form. And as you see it now, this pack's starting to just running down the back straight, and it looks like Wilkes is starting to pull away. As I look behind them as well, it looks like Neibauer tried to go for a move, but at the last second, De Bruyne and Neibauer actually run wide together.
Yeah, so it's always a bit of a, when that happens, you're like, damn it! wish I just kept to the apex and taken advantage of somebody running wide. But it's so easy to miss your braking point and get on those marbles as well, and and just sail through the apex and off onto the runoff. Which as we see on a lot of the new tracks around the world, the runoff areas are massive. As you can see, the red, white, and blue there of the American flag on the massive runoff areas. The gravel's way out in the distance there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those corners that's so easy to outbrake yourself, because either Neibauer that gets a little bit sketchy getting on the power. It's one of those corners that's so easy to run wide because they're too busy focusing on the car ahead of you or next to you, and I think Neibauer and De Bruyne were too busy watching each other. Then they went off. Pretty much they went wide in sympathy. As I say that, it looks like Medima's got a bit sideways on the exit of turn 1 there.
Yeah, he was lucky there to stay facing the right way, but well held. As we saw, you can do quite a late break as we got Vilcek and Ledson both coming in the pits there. So I wonder if they're going to look to try and take advantage of just getting pounding in some laps. But it's going to be difficult because they were 50 something seconds behind the leader, so they could come out and end up getting stuck in blue flag land.
Yeah, but just watching the overall leader as well. Look at Felipe, pretty much continuing his form from Zolder, and again just managing to pull away already. And we're on lap 9 at the moment, and his gap's up to about 6.5 seconds. So Felipe is just pretty much again putting in a fantastic display, and no one, especially Barney, doesn't seem to have an answer for his super quick pace at the moment. Yeah,
he's certainly he's got, I don't know, about 0.7 of a second a lap by looks of things to Clyde. So it's maybe there is a difference in the amount of fuel that they're running. Maybe he's thinking of doing a 30-minute and an hour stint, and Clyde's doing the opposite potentially. But we'll obviously wait and see towards the end of the race. But as we can see that the sun beginning to set even more now, and lovely evening in Austin, Texas. As we obviously Simon Wilkes running wide out there onto the flags, and Aaron Van Dreen just closing the door, and again that's not going to be doing his track cuts any good by doing that twice in a row.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's run wide a few times now, so I'm guessing his off track warnings will be getting pretty high at the moment, as Dan Lansing he's just came out the pits and allows some of the cars lapping him to go through it. But I think I've done some races around Cota in the past, and especially when it comes to sunset, and I don't know why this track at sunset just looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I'm sure Tom will be able to find us a nice view at the top of the tower at some point tonight. Give him a bit of a challenge, but it's always nice seeing the sunset on ACC. It's a lovely looking sim, but these cars do look great with their special liveries, and Neibauer there takes out Simon Wilkes. He's not held it, but he's kept it out of the wall. So that could be one for the stewards. I suspect that Simon's not going to let that one lie, because that was a definite turnaround there by Neibauer and De Bruyne. Yeah,
it just looks like De Bruyne might have just, I don't know if it was maybe just De Bruyne being caught out by Simon being possibly a little bit slower in the middle of the corner, and maybe just De Bruyne carried a lot more speed than Wilkes.
Yeah, it did look like a little bit like the incident with Carlos Sainz and George Russell at the race this year, where there was a little bit of a speed difference, which clearly De Bruyne didn't take into account when he was going around the corner.
As I look at that fantastic shot of the tower and the sunset as well. The sunset and in the middle of the race so far, and I suspect towards the end of the race, you might even see maybe see a slight bit of darkness as well, or not complete darkness, but a bit of a little bit of light darkness, if you like, towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it'll definitely be dusk, won't it? By that time, might see the moon at some point. But yeah, hopefully no one dropping their trousers to show it to us.
I'd rather you said that than me.
There we go. With Nard Cox now putting a bit of pressure on Zlatko Pavlovic. So yeah, I think if Nard gets really close to Zlatko, I think so it's just coming around the last part of, I think, turn 9 into turn 10, just before the hairpin into turn 11. So I think if Nard gets a little bit closer to Zlatko, he might be able to get a bit of a go up into turn 12, but I think he may just be a little bit too far away here. But we'll see at the end of the straight to see what the actual closing speed of that Bentley is on the Porsche. Yeah,
I was going to say that Bentley, it's got some good straight line speed, and you might be able to close up. But looking at De Bruyne as well, and yeah, I don't think that incident with De Bruyne and Wuggs, De Bruyne, I don't think it wasn't intentional. I think it was just one of those things, just the difference in speed and just being caught out. But I think I agree. I think the stewards might be having a look at that after the race, and I don't know what I would do, or what I would do if I was in charge of doing the stewards reports or race control decisions. I think it's a bit. Yeah, if he gets a penalty, it might be a little bit harsh. As I say that, it looks like De Bruyne's got a drive-through penalty. Yeah, it looks like it's going from bad to worse, so could end up getting a couple of penalties here. So only half an hour into the race, and he's got a drive-through, which will be only for track limits. So as we said earlier, the track limits are very tight, and if you're running close to another car, it's very difficult to see where the apexes are. So you've really got to do practice with other cars, in terms of your racing, to make sure you've got your turning points along the side of the track, not just just your visual cues that you would see if you're just doing hot laps. Indeed, as we come across the line now, looking at De Bruyne, and just ahead of De Bruyne, it looks like Aaron van Drunen currently, let's say, 4th or 5th in the silver class at the moment. So Aaron is slowly gaining more positions and running inside the top 10 overall. And as we're looking at the Dutchman now coming through this tight twisty SC sections, and so difficult to get this right, you say, because you want to carry so much speed. But if you carry so much speed and get it wrong, it can really bite you. But it looks like De Bruyne is closing down Van Drunen, but of course De Bruyne has got to serve his drive-through penalty. Yeah, it's a pain. It is painful doing a drive-through, but thankfully it's not a Spa pit lane, which obviously can be over a minute in length to get through. So he'll be in the pits for probably around 30 to 35 seconds doing his drive-through. So yeah, it's still quite painful to get a drive-through, but not as bad as some of the tracks for sure. And someone else has got a drive-through penalty. Is this man right here? Is John Planis as well? So I think. I think some drivers maybe just being caught out by track limits and just using them up more than expected. Yeah, so it's just getting caught out in 30 minutes is, you've really got to be concentrating, because you could end up with 2-3 of these by the end of the race. We'll see when obviously they decide to take it, but it looks like he's coming up to the back of, I think that's Ryan Leach, isn't he? He's coming up to the back of, so you'll probably want to get in and get that served quickly, so if at least he can then crack on with his race. And obviously De Bruyne will obviously be doing the same thing, and they are only about 8 seconds apart, so there's still some racing for them to do in the rest of the race, in terms of being able to have a decent race with somebody, rather than being just constantly being lapped or out on your own, as there we go, Planis is in the pits with service drive-through. Yeah, and the good thing with this, like you say, Dave, it's not a Spa pit lane where it feels like it goes on for like an eternity. It only takes about probably, I'm not sure how long a drive-through takes it. Cota. I'm probably guessing round about probably around about 60 seconds or something like that, depending on how big it is.
I will let you know, because my timing screens are alive, and currently 36 seconds. Was that Aravandrunen off into the wall?
No. I've got a feeling that Aaron might have done the dreaded clipping the sausage curbs.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully Tom might be able to get a replay on that. So 36 seconds to do a drive-through. As Aravandrunen goes back to pit, so clearly got a lot of damage. Wonder if he'll get that damage fixed and come back out, because obviously there's still quite a few points to play for. Points down to 20th in their class, so he'll still score some points by finishing the race.
As I look at, as I look at the battle for 7th place, or 6th place rather, going on between the Pavlovic and the Nard Cox as well, and Nard Cox has had a decent season so far. He's got some decent results, and I think one of those drivers that is he doesn't seem too feisty to try and make any moves. He's not a young Max Verstappen driver per se. As it looks like we've got a replay of the incident of Van Drunen, and it looks like Aaron might have clipped his sausage curbs. He gets it wrong here, and looks fine here. I don't know if it's a hardware failure or if something's happened as he gets a bit sideways there. Oh, and the clip. He did take some sausage curbs there, but it didn't look like it was a big incident.
No, to be honest, it looks like a bit more of a hardware issue, or maybe something has gone on, where he is. Definitely didn't look like he had an incident that would cause him to stop. As De Bruyn in through on his last lap, probably, that he could serve the drive-through, so he took every opportunity to do the 3 laps, which is going to have to be cleared. And there we go, he's off now. Looked like he actually pulled away before the line and then broke, so he was quite lucky there not to get a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had that horrible honour of getting a speeding penalty in pit lane, and yeah, it's so frustrating when you think you've slowed down and then basically you come at the pits and you find out you've got a speeding penalty for speeding in pit lane. But as I look at the battle again for 6th place between Pavlovic and Cox, it looks like the SWAT that's Dan Lenson right behind them, I believe, and not too far behind these guys we've got Danny the SWAT in the Audi.
Yeah, I think obviously certainly Slatko's lost a bit of time there to Nard, so we'll see. Maybe just car getting a little bit lively as the fuel burns off, with Nard maybe seeing his tyres maybe a bit better. But again, round turn, I think that's turn 15, isn't it? I think around the long sweeping right hander into last corner. Nard does look very, very close, and if you can get just a little sniff out of the last corner and get onto the power a little bit earlier than Zlatko, then you might be able to get a run up into turn 1. But as you can see there, the Porsche does seem to get out of that corner very, very nicely, whereas Nard just manages to close in a little bit there onto the apex into turn 1.
Yeah, it just seems to be Pavlovic gets he seems to get really good traction on the exit of slowest corners, especially turn 1. But it seems to be, I think Nard seems to close up on the braking ever so slightly as well. But as I look at 10th place, Jets Medema as well, in 10th, but currently trying to get by. It looks like Martin van der Kraan and that fantastically liveried McLaren as well, and I do like that McLaren livery, but it reminds me of the real life McLaren GT car race at Le Mans with that fantastic livery. But look at it, Simon Wuggs as well in 12th, and back at this battle as well. It looks like Van der Kraan's under attack slightly from Medema, and it looks like he has to go defensive, and that'll compromise his entry. As it looks like Medina's got a great exit, and a gate, just not close enough though, because that McLaren they are a straight line, just seems to have that slight edge on top speed.
Yeah, and the way that you drive the McLaren it very promotes you really to get on the power very early. But the Ferrari definitely looked like it was going to have a little bit of a look just to make sure the McLaren of Van der Kran knows that he's there, and again just sort of runs a little bit wide, but no space into turn 13, round into turn 14 again. Just follow my leader really round here, and into a tight sort of a double apex hairpin there. But again, not really much that you can do in the GT cars. With the downforce of a formula car, you can run a little bit wide and try and get a bit of a switchback if you get given the space. But these GT cars, you've got literally no option. As Martin van der Kran it looks like he's holding his own just around the last sort of sector there, but the Ferrari of Medina does look a little bit closer, coming around into the last corner, and again, probably not quite close enough there to get a decent run in the aero wake, as we've seen Nard Clock's now making a move on Zlatko Pavlic on this side. A little bit of rubbing, and he's got past a little bit of rubbing, but all good.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a little bit of door banging there. I think Nard Cox was not going to yield because I think he's been sick and tired of being stuck behind that Porsche for too long, and it looks like it looks like Cox is starting to pull away now. And I thought at one point when they got close to each other through the start of the twisty SC section, I thought there was going to be a bit of contact, and both of them going to go flying over the sausage curve, but amazingly somehow they both managed to survive.
Yeah, it's running the gauntlet in sim racing when you do a bit of door banging, and sometimes it works okay. ACC seems to be pretty decent when you're alongside each other. It's normally when your rear quarter's a little bit too close. Zlatko Pavlic really late on the brakes there, but manages to get it around the corner, but it just looked like he's steaming into the corner. But clearly it's the closing speed there. Maybe the brakes are just so good on the Porsche, which may be why it took Nard so long to get past him. Yeah,
I thought when I saw Pavlovic flying in there, I thought Cox was going to get hit from behind there, because that was I'm not going to deny I had to kind of hold my breath when I saw it happen there, but amazingly Pavlovic managed to survive and not lose too much time. But it could have been a big incident there, and I think it looks like Nard is starting to pull away in front in the Bentley now. So again, it's just a case of the Porsche is a quick car, a quick handling car, but on a track such as Cota with loads and loads of straights, it just seems to lack that little something.
Yeah, you've got to really make it count in the mid sector to stop people from getting past. Obviously, he's got a little bit of breathing space now with Dan Lenson behind him, but Deswart is only 1.5 seconds behind, so Lenson's now moved over for Deswart, so he's going to be closing down now on him, whereas Zlatko may be considering coming up to nearly half race distance, that it might be time to get on a new pair of boots and get to the end, which just looked like actually the rear end was just looked like it was almost stepping out on him there, which again might be the rear tyres just starting to go off, which might be why he's struggling a little bit against Nard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nard just pulling away now as well, and not pulling away as much as I hope, but I think just when it gets to this back straight, that Bentley just seems to have that slight edge with straight line speed. But I think just looking back up at the front as well, Luca Felipe puts in a personal best lap of the race so far, and the gap between him and Barney is about basically 10 seconds. So Felipe is just putting in another masterclass.
Yeah, I think Barney was literally 1/10 quicker on the last lap than Felipe, but 10 seconds to the leader. It's it's a big old gap, and obviously Dave Jr. again, roughly around a third, 11 seconds behind. That's not going to be easy to get back for sure, and they're going to be relying on any kind of mistakes in the pits or out on track. But as the light starts to fail or fade, gets a little bit more difficult to spot your braking points and actually be consistent. So that could come.
Look at Barney now as well, and I think excuse me, I think Barney knows that Felipe is not really in championship contention, so I think Barry just wants to try and finish and pick up as many points as possible, like he done at Zolder. And I think I was going to say, I think he might be frustrated slightly. I think he knows he can try and keep the pace with Felipe, but Felipe just seems to be one of those drivers that once he gets away and once he gets in the zone, it's just so hard to try and close him back down.
Yeah, like I say, it's a bit, like they're not in a championship battle, but Clyde will want as many points as he can in terms of his own championship aspirations against Seville. But Dave Jr. is obviously keeping him honest as well, which still 20 seconds behind the leader, but there's still a little bit to go. But he's now actually got Sem Spenkling only within 1.5 seconds of him. So Sem's really starting to pile the pressure on Dave Jr. Our only American driver in the field, I believe. So at the moment, so he's as you can see from his little ping graph next to his BMW sign, he's doing quite well for being a transatlantic for a European server. So he's a nice clean driver, is Dave, and being 5 or 6 hours behind, be having a nice afternoon drive on a Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely doing well in the third place at the moment, and Svenklink as well. Just seems to be doing well as too, and they not really being pressure from anyone, and not really anyone in front of him. As I say, Dave Jr. is in front of him as well, but Sem not really doesn't really have anyone challenging him. So at the moment, I think probably hoping for a top 4 finish, or a push, maybe a top 3 finish if any of the front runners have any issues.
Yeah, we've got Dan Lenton look at serving on the drive-through as well. So they're coming thick and fast now with the drive-throughs. So anything can happen still in the race, even if they're 11 or 12, 20 seconds ahead. Felipe could still end up having a drive-through and really open it up to anyone win the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So the race so far is I've got about just under 49 minutes remaining in this race. It looks like everything's settled down at the moment, and as we've still got some people to make their pit stops, and I think maybe some people are deciding just to wait until after the pit stops to start pushing and maybe try and gain more positions on track. But at the moment it's all relatively quiet, and I think that's just the nature of Cota as well. In the early stages of the race, there's so much action going on, and then basically as the race goes on, as the field spreads out, the action just seems to settle down slightly.
Yeah, and obviously we can see from the temperature up the top right there, we've lost 1 degree in the last 45 minutes. So the guys will want to be taking as long as possible out on track whilst the temperatures are fairly stable, because as soon as the sun sets, the temperatures start to drop, and you don't want to pit too early with a set of tyres that are pressured for 21 degrees, 21 track temperature. Because if you start getting down to 15 degrees at the towards the end of the race, then you're really going to be struggling with your tyre pressures.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say that as well, talking about tyre pressures, the ambient temperature and track temperatures went down to 21 degrees, so I think tyre pressures shouldn't be. I think they shouldn't be really a factor in this race. So if the track getting cooler and cooler, you might have to make an adjustment to the tyre pressure slightly if they start getting a little bit low. But I don't think a tyre pressure adjustment costs any time in a pit stop.
No, you'll be fine. You can adjust it on the way in, as obviously the pit crews would do in real life. But yeah, obviously 22 to 21 doesn't make much difference whatsoever in terms of the pressures. But if you start seeing a 5 or 6 degree difference in your track temperature, then you will do. And obviously, with the sun going down, we'll probably see the air temperature dropping quite quickly. As we see Sandoval just now coming into the pits for his pit stop from P14, and he was 2.1 seconds behind. 2.1 seconds behind Van Eer, by the likes of things. We're obviously that will probably put him back into the clutches of Ryan Leach there, because obviously Dan Lenson's had drive through as well, so he won't be in the running by the looks of it. So as we see Andreas Garlin now still in P5 with Nard Cox 8 seconds behind him. So he's got a bit of space with Sam Spankelink here, really starting to put pressure on Dave Jr. Into turn 14. And here we go around the long right hander, and see this sort of really tests how much grip you've still got on the tyres, with a little dab of brakes there from Sept. That's brave on almost full lock around the corner. That would have certainly pushed him a little bit wide. And as Dave Jr. looks like he's going to come into the pits, he definitely doesn't want to have that fight. His tyres are obviously gone. 45 minutes gone of the race, half distance. Get those tyres changed, and see if he can come out and get ahead of Sem when he makes his pit stop by having fresh tyres.
Yeah, I think Dave decided to make that pit stop decision maybe at the last second, and maybe not get in a fight with Sem, and maybe try and get some clear air and jump Sen as well when he makes his pit stop. So I like that. I like that strategy call from Dave. I think he just decided not to get in a fight or make a big deal of anything, especially with his tyres at this stage of the race. So pretty much started to get to the end of the life, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if Sem tries to go a little bit longer, or even maybe pit at the end of this lap and try and cover off Dave Jr. as Jr. starts to leave his pit box now.
Yeah, I mean, Sem's really got to put the lap times in, but it can be very easy to burn your tyres, especially when they're 45 minutes old. Obviously, Dave Jr.'s got probably a lap to get the new tyres he's got on up to temperature, up to pressure. But if Sem decides not to pit, and he's really got to put some decent stints in to be able to have some really fresh tyres at the end of the race.
Yeah, no, excuse me. It looks like Dave Jr. was getting the hit. That's like I say. I thought that was a back marker, but it's actually De Bruyne and another BMW. De Bruyne, who still has to make his mandatory pit stop. He was only done his drive-through, but he needs to still make his mandatory pit stop. So I think Dave Jr. might be getting a bit frustrated in case he loses a bit of time. But looking at 7th place, Danny Swart, the 3rd place in the silver class as well, and as I say, that another pit stop coming in or happening is Clayton Barney from 2nd place.
Yeah, it's clearly Felipe's obviously running long. Then he's obviously got some very, very good pace. But yeah, as we see, Barney and Garlin are both in the pits now. Dave Jr. still trying to hunt down De Bruyne. It looks like he's going to try and go around the outside on his new tyres, but that's not going to work, I don't think. Obviously De Bruyne, it's not his race to, he's not really in the race with Dave Jr. But he's still not making it easy for Dave. He obviously doesn't have to yield because it's 4th position, but really it's probably cost De Bruyne a lot of time doing that, as well as Dave Jr.
Yeah, I think Dave Jr. he realised he had to get by as quickly as possible. It looks like Annie's leaving the pits, Gallen's into the pits, so is the Swart, and so is Simon Wilkes. So yeah, but a lot of pit activity starting to happen.
Yeah, 45 minutes is as we know, probably the fastest way to get around the track in terms of splitting the race 50-50. But as we know, strategy doesn't always pan out as you want it to, and changing your pit stop time to either earlier or later, depending on where you are on your current situation, is it's nice and easy for a team of people back at base to make your decisions for you. But when you're obviously sat in a sim racing yourself, you've got to make these decisions on the fly, and sometimes it's not that easy. As Clive Barney, look, did that look like he was sideways around that corner? I think he did.
Yeah, I was a bit. Yeah, Barney got a bit sideways there, so absolutely giving it everything on his outlap.
Clearly needs to turn his TC up when he's got cold tyres for a little bit. As we 5 minutes on, we're still seeing 21 on the track and air temperature there. So that's as we see Simon Wilkes now coming out of the now exiting the pits. So Sem Spenkling only really there doing what 3 or 4 laps more than Dave Jr. Perhaps thinking that he's really not got the pace in his tyres anymore, or perhaps no fuel. So he really just taking the decision early. And I'm just going to see if we've got Dave Jr.'s last lap time updated yet, which we haven't. So we'll see. Wonder if we'll see Dave Jr. retake that pace from Sem Spenkling. He's currently in P2.
Yeah, I think it'll be close, but I think it depends obviously on if Spenkling was able to get a good pit entry and also a good pit exit as well. As Dave Jr.'s coming around the final few corners now, and I think it's going to be close. As I think Spenkling leaving his pit box.
Yeah, it looks like he's trundling up the pit lane at 50 kilometres an hour. So he's Dave Jr. is now around the last corner, and he's going to be close into turn 1. So Sem's just really just sort of waiting now. He's going, and yeah, it does look like Dave Jr. might just get up alongside him and going to go side by side into turn 1. Ooh. Well, it's going to be tight. Dave Jr. got the outside line and the inside of turn 2. So as you were before the pit stop. So.
I had a feeling it was going to be close between the both of them, because I think Sem tried to put in some quick laps, and I think he just about done it because it was close on the pit exit. But obviously Dave Jr. being on the warmer tyres with more grip, I think he probably had that momentum on the outside in turn 1 and managed to get good traction on the exit. Yeah,
and obviously Dave should have the advantage now, having the slightly older tyres. Sem really doesn't want to push those tyres too much, even though it's really tempted to do so because you're racing, but you can grain them up quite quickly in this sim. As we see, Simon Wilkes has got a drive through, so I wonder if that was because of speeding into the pit lane or whether it's actually track limits. But yeah, that's unfortunate because he'd obviously made quite a few gains the race in terms of position. So yeah, it's unfortunate. He'd looks like he'd made 4 positions up, so he's going to be dropping way down the field again. So we've got the leader now in the pits.
Yep. So Felipe makes his pit stop from the lead. He's about 39 seconds 39 seconds ahead. So he'll easily maintain the lead, and pretty much no one's able to touch him at the moment. So it's just a case of trying to get it to the finish. We've got about just under 38 minutes remaining. So this race has absolutely flew by. But Felipe again just putting on an absolutely fantastic performance. And I think I was chatting to I think it was 2 weeks ago after Zolder. He said I think he's just I can't remember what age he said he was, but he's a young driver anyway. So yeah, a young driver with definitely huge amounts of talent and good amounts of pace.
Yeah, for sure. It's sickening, really, isn't it, when you see these young guys that have got, literally got all this pace. But obviously it's a bit of talent and a lot of practice as well, which obviously some of the older drivers don't get the opportunity to practice as much. Certainly since the pandemic's calmed down, we've all had to go back to work, and that sort of time that we were able to spend racing and broadcasting and doing all the good things for for the community. It's calmed it, it's quieting down a little bit, but we're still seeing some great racing. Sept Spanking looks really late on the brakes and actually could get a bit of a run down into turn 12 here. It certainly looks like a lot closer than he has been at any point so far. And Dave Jr. could be looking at trying to defend into turn 12, but it doesn't look like he's going to actually take. Oh, well, that's a bit of a late defence, and Sem's wise to it and managed to steer clear. But that was a little bit of a late defence there.
Yeah, I was about to say that was a bit of a late reaction there, but still, it's a. It was a fair defensive move from Dave Jr. A little bit late, but still fair. And Sem trying to do a switch back, or trying to get a move done. I thought he was going to try and go round the outside. That would have been a bit of a brave move. But again, Sven closes right up in the middle of that long right-hander, and I don't know if it's a setup of what's going to be contact there, and you can tell now it's Sem's absolutely just trying everything to try and get by. I think he might have if he can get a good run here on the exit of the final corner, he might be able to make a move into turn 1. Yeah,
and it looks like Dave Jr.'s gone ultra defensive straight away, straight into the marbles. He's obviously managed to get himself back out, but which has done him well. And Spankelink there just probably can't get. Oh no, he can get up the inside into turn 2. So it looks like he's going to make the move. Going to make moves stick, so maybe those just that little run out into the marbles did affect Dave Jr. in terms of the braking.
Yeah, fantastic move from Spankelink, and managed to hold it on the outside. And I think this is pretty much as it stands. I think this is a battle for the final step on the podium, because obviously Pavlovic has still got to make his pit stop.
He has, but he's obviously running really long, so maybe that's why he was struggling with pace towards the start of the race, because he had a lot more fuel on board. So it could pay off for him if he can maintain that pace. Obviously slowing a few people up, which is always the way if you're heavy. Then you want to make sure that you're ahead of people that are lighter, so it comes to you later on in the race.
Indeed, is looking at Pavlovic now, and is he going to dive into the pits? Yes, he is. So Pavlovic dives into the pits now to make his pit stop, and gets it slowed right down before the pit speed, the limit line. And I think Pavlovic should come out round about, I'm guessing round about 6th or 7th place, I believe. Obviously, it depends how much fuel he has to take as well, but I think, if he keeps it clean for the remaining about 34 minutes, he should be on for a top 10 finish. But I'm still impressed. Still impressed that Spankelink managed to get that move done, because it requires the driver that's on the inside, or the driver you're battling, to be kind of give you a bit of space as well. And Dave Jr., he could have ran Spankelink off the track or pushed him wide slightly, but just he left just enough room.
Yeah, and Dave's still holding that half a second behind Spankelink, and he's certainly not giving up. But looks like Sem's just got a little bit of extra pace on the straights, which obviously isn't going to help Dave Jr. get past him, as we see Sem's teammate Niall Cox there in P7 coming down the pitch straight with Pavlovic trundling along the pit lane, just waiting to get out of the pit. So as we see, Niall Cox does actually make it past Pavlovic, and I think Deswat has as well. So Pavlovic comes out into P8, so clearly the last 30 minutes is going to be key for him when he's got fresher tyres potentially than the rest of the field around him.
Absolutely, as we watch him now coming through the S's now, and I think with those fresher tyres, he might be able to close the gap down to the next car in front of I think it'll be close. I think he might be able to close that gap down to the Swart in front of him, which is about 8.8 seconds. And it just depends depending on the Swart starts having issues with tyres. But I think at this stage of the race, it's just a case of getting to the finish for Pavlovic.
Yeah, it's obviously he's in P3. I think Garlin's probably a bit too far for Zlatko. Maybe the longer run didn't really work out for him. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, obviously Zacco is, you know, as I said earlier, is normally in the top tier, so he's clearly getting himself back into things. As we can start to see now, the lights are now starting to make an impact on the track, so we're really starting to lose the daylight. Still 21-21 on the temperatures, so I think it looks like they're going to be all good for the remainder of the race in terms of their tyre pressures. As we see there, Ryan Leach just coming through turn 11 onto the straight. 2.5 seconds behind Vanir, who is only just over a second behind Tim Niebauer. So it looks like this is potentially hotting up into a little bit of a good race towards the end, at the last third of this race.
I was checking the YouTube chat as well in the stream and Aaron Van Drunen, they retired not because of a technical issue or a mistake, but if he said he was having problems with his knee. So hopefully it gets better soon, Aaron, and they look forward to seeing you on track in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, it's again, you won't see the likes of Felipe having problems with his knees. It's only related to us oldies. But yeah, it's not easy, these cars. You know, it's very physical. You know, obviously, you know yourself through driving sim racing. You don't have the G-forces, but you know you are especially those who've got low tail brakes. You are pushing the brakes as hard as you would do in a real race car. You know, you're on the throttle a lot. You know, so you are putting a lot of stress through your legs, your back. You obviously, you know, especially if the guys that have got direct drive wheels, they're getting a lot of torque through their arms, their wrists. So it is very physical, and a lot of people come out feeling like they've had a significant workout, you know, shall we say? But you know, thankfully, most of us don't wear race overalls and helmets. But although I'm sure there's, I'm sure we can find somebody in the community that does do when they're racing.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these. Excuse me, that's the thing with these races as well, especially. Even though some of these races are only about 1 hour or 1 hour 30 or 90 minutes or 75 minutes or whatever, it's probably. You probably think, oh, it'll be easy, you'll get away with it, you'll feel fine. But from my experience, just because you're having to concentrate so much, especially when you're in a battle, for example, or just having to concentrate, even racing in the dark, it's so physically, well, not physically, but mentally demanding, because you're just having to concentrate so much so you don't make a mistake.
Yeah, just look at the stints the real life drivers put in. They don't do much longer than 2-3 hours in a car anyway, because it is physically demanding for them, but also mentally demanding. And whilst you don't have all the physical aspects of driving, it's like you say, mentally you come out of these races either buzzing or very, very drained. As we see Felipe then still taking that really wide line across onto the right hand side of the track there. I don't actually didn't realise there was probably no marbles out there. Normally there is quite a lot of marbles on the outside of the track on ACC. So clearly, when I've practiced, I've not been on a fully rubbered in track.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Felipe has gone that wide onto the red part of the track there. I thought, like yourself, I thought there would have been marbles on the outside there, but I guess because there's kind of there's not really that many marbles on that side of the track. I guess you can get away with it, but you've got to be very, very careful with your braking, just in case you end up locking up. But this battle between it looked like this battle between Spenkelink and Junior was settled down and was pretty much over with. But it looks like Junior has managed to get the head down and get his head back in the game and close his gap back down to Spenkelink in front of him.
Oh, he looks like he's, that was close. He just looked like he outbraked himself, and the rear end come around, and he's just looks like he's checking his tyres. So might have a little bit of a flat spot there, but he certainly looked like he had a bit of a lock-up, bit of a 4-wheel drift, but well held. From Dave there, he's lucky not to collect Sem. But yeah, and he lives to fight another day. I was about to say is ebbing and flowing, obviously, with Dave catching up, and it looks like it looks like he's having a little bit of internet issue potentially there as well now. Although that's definitely wiggling his steering wheel. Maybe he's having a few technical problems.
Yeah, excuse me, but yeah, maybe just looking at that mistake, maybe yeah, I wonder if he might have just got still wiggling the car around. So I don't know if maybe if he's lost force feedback or if there's something wrong. But
Yeah, looks like he's got some problems with his internet connection. Obviously, being transatlantic, it can happen, but looks like it might have settled down a little bit now, which is hopefully you're going to get him back onto the back of Sem's Benklink there.
yeah, so pretty much his battle is for third place, and the Svenkelinks manages to pull away ever so slightly after that mistake from Dave Jr. But I think Dave Jr. as well. He maybe just I think maybe I wonder if he maybe just backed off slightly to look after his tyres when they just try and look after them for the final half an hour of this race. But I think Sem might be doing the same thing as well, looking after his tyres, and also maybe the tyre pressures are starting to drop a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. So we haven't seen the temperatures dropping yet on terms of track. Sam Spankley's got a drive-through.
Oh no!
A track limit. So there we go. It's as we predicted. There's things can happen up to the last minute on this track. It's just so much to do with track limits on here. It's so tight. I wonder if Sim's going to get in early and get back out as quickly as possible and get back on it.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, I think Spenkelink he might lose a position. He might even lose 2 positions because actually thinking about it, maybe even 3 or 4, because the gap between Spenkelink and down to who else, Danny Swat, I think is not that big. So Spenkelink he'll probably come back out in about 7th or 8th place.
Yeah, he's got a little way to 36 seconds in the pits. I think he could be coming out in P8. That could be a real sting in the tail if battling up into 3rd position, and you're really just basically causing yourself to lose all those positions that you gained through the race. But he's obviously been pushing a lot through the race, as we've seen. But it's unfortunate, but it's the luck of the draw with this track. You push the limits too much, you're going to get stung.
Yeah, that's the thing with this track as well. It's got some parts of the track where it gives you that feeling, or it invites you to carry a lot more speed or push a bit more than you want to. But with some of the parts of the track, if you run too wide or take too much the inside curve in some places, it can bite and give you a drive through. And unfortunately, Spenkelinks found that out, and that means Dave Jr., if he keeps it clear and keeps it on the track and makes it to the finish, he could be on course for if I'm correct, it could be his first overall it could be his first podium in the series this season.
Yeah, it's quite surprising because he's done well this year. So it's obviously there's been some quick guys on the grid that haven't come today, but he's done it when it counts. And the start of the race, he got past Garlin and very nearly got past Barney as well, which obviously would have definitely potentially scuppered Kleit's race if he'd managed to get ahead of him. But he's done well, and obviously put enough pressure on Sem to make sure that he's not really staying within the track limits. So I'm quite surprised Sem hasn't actually come in yet, because obviously it doesn't really matter to him when he's going to pit, but maybe he's got some sort of timing system on his rig that tells him what P8 is doing in terms of lap times, and if he's still doing. Actually, he's still doing 1.2 seconds a lap quicker, so it makes sense for him to stay out as long as he can to try and get ahead of potentially P8 when he comes out the pits after his drive-through.
Yeah, absolutely. He's starting to increase that gap from Dave Jr. again. But obviously, I think Dave Jr. at this point realises that Sem's got to serve a drive-through, so maybe just more than happy to just sit behind and let Sem's pull away and just build a bit of a gap, and I think Spanking Link, I think he'll be kicking himself because I think it looks like Zlatko Pavlovic has had an issue heading onto the pit entry, or even the final or the final to last corner, because looking at that rear end, he's got a bit of damage, I believe.
Yeah, or is it? I think it looks like he might have had an incident. Yeah, for sure. It looks like he's just pulled into the pits, and wonder if we can get a view of the front of his car there. And it definitely looked like it had a bit of damage on the front. Actually, we must see this Sem coming around the lap. Just about finishing probably his third lap with the drive-through notice, so he'll be needing to come in on this lap to clear that drive-through to make sure he can finish the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam dive into the pits now? No, he actually does dive into the pits now. I thought he was going round there again, so leaving it right until the very last second. They trying to increase that gap, and they keeping an eye on him to see where the gap is to P8, because I think the gap to P8 was round about 24.6 seconds. So I think Spankelin might just come out behind Medema.
Yeah, it's going to be tight, but clearly, it's going to be painful wherever he comes out, because it would have, it's a pretty. I think it was, although it wasn't certain, he had a pretty decent. We got a replay here of Zlatko Pavlovic, who just coming up to the second to last corner, just sort of wagging a little bit there, and then out into the. That's interesting. So he's just oh dear.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but I have to admit, I have done that myself in the past.
Yeah, that's definitely comedic, isn't it? That one, when that happens. Well, it's not a surprise. He's he's left the server and has decided to call it a day after that one, probably from embarrassment. Yeah,
I wonder if he didn't put enough fuel in for the end of the race. Maybe just decided to dive in and take some fuel for the end of the race. But I have to admit, it's such an easy mistake to do that around here, especially the pit entry, because you're carrying so much speed and you don't want to lose too much time. But if you go too quick on the pit entry, you'll end up locking up, and unfortunately Pavlovic found out and they hit the wall. And I think he's trying to create David Coulthard's pit entry from the 1995 Australian Grand Prix. Still, even as a Scotsman, I do find that moment absolutely hilarious.
there's lots of pit lane entrance incidents that we see throughout racing, and and there's certainly on this sim there's at least 4 tracks I can think of that have got some significantly difficult pit entrances. We see Danny Swat there, hitting the sausage curb and almost having a bit of a swapper on with the Audi, which as we've seen throughout the season, that if you get a little bit of a waggle on with the Audi, it can just spit you out straight away. It goes into turn 1, which nice entry and exit out into out turn 1 there. So we just have maybe a quick run down the timetable with Felipe in the lead, 19.4 seconds now from Clyde Bowney, with Dave Jr. a further 24 seconds back, with Andreas Garlin 4.6 seconds behind. Nard Cox now in P5, further 9 seconds back, with Danny Dessoir in P6. 3.2 seconds off Nard, with Sam Spankelink back out into P7, so he did manage to just creep back out ahead of Medema there in P8, with Van der Kraan 18.4 seconds adrift from Medema. Tim Niebauer in P10. Ryan Leach now running in 11th with further 32 seconds behind by looks. 8.4 seconds behind Ryan Leach, 5.1 seconds behind Niebauer in P11. Van Eer 1.8 seconds behind Ryan Leach in P12, so that could hot up towards the end of the race, with De Bruyn further 1.7 seconds back. Sandoval 18.5 seconds adrift from De Bruyn in P14. Johan Planus in P15, 4 seconds behind Sandoval, and Wilczek running up in currently last, 16.1 seconds behind Johan Planus. So he's had a torrid time this race as well, and actually looks like he's got a flat tyre on that image.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought it was just me that saw that as well, but yeah, it's good to see. I think we've still got I think we've still got 17 drivers running still, so that's good to see. As I've got about 16 minutes and 30 seconds in this race remaining, and I think at this point of the race, it's everyone just wants to try and get to the finish. But yeah, just looking at Spenkelink as well, he managed to come back out in P7, so he only lost about three positions, I think, by the looks of it, or 4 positions, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's still 11 seconds behind De Swart, so I think that's him for the race, to be honest, unless we do see some other drive-throughs up to the top of the field. But Felipe's really got this race by the scruff of the neck and just decided, that's it. I'm going to put in the times, look after my tyres, not going to run too close to the track limits. He's clearly got a good setup on his car, looks fairly stable when we've seen it, and he's really just sort of showing the rest of the field the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Felipe was around from the start of the season, I think he could have been. I think anyway, he could have been one of the championship contenders, because his pace has just been unbelievable from the last round at Zolder, and also tonight as well. So just no one has been able to touch him. But looking at Felipe now as he exits turn 1, and then just watching the language of that car, it looks like he's got a setup nailed. And I have heard with this Honda as well, the best way to get a pace out of it seems to be to have it set up to be very, very pointy. But watching this car, it looks to be very stable, and I think maybe Felipe's a set it up to be stable and not to be a pointy car.
Yeah, it does look. It looks like the direction change on it's excellent. Doesn't look like it's got any oversteer or understeer to that matter. So obviously kudos to his driving as well to make it look that good. And it's always the way that when you see the fast drivers, they always make it look so easy. And it looks like they're driving really slowly, but maximising everything out of the car.
Absolutely. As again, he goes to the red part of the track, and yeah, I'm very surprised, because I thought if you'd done that, you might have ended up losing a slight bit of grip, but it doesn't seem to be hampering Felipe too much. But looking at second place, Clayton Barney as well, I think when he looks back at his race, I think he'll be happy with to collect points for the championship, because he realises that Felipe is not really in the contention for the championship, and pretty much he's just using that Alan Prost strategy of just finishing the races and picking up loads of points, and probably realising that you don't have to win every race to win championships.
Yeah, I think he also probably realised after the first 10 minutes when Felipe was 5 seconds ahead, it was probably the only thing he could hope for. But and once you realise that early on, you literally just settle down into your rhythm and just think, right, this is what I've got to do to make sure I finish second. Clearly the guys that were battling behind helped Clyde really in terms of that as well. I think if Sem had managed to get past them a bit quicker, potentially he could have been catching Clyde, but I think it's obviously it's a good drive by Clyde as well, and along with Felipe. And then we've obviously got the silver class, the Pro-Am leader Andreas Garlin, who's again had a fair, after the first few laps been fairly quiet, isn't it? I think really. So again, just sort of kept his head down, tried to keep ahead of those that he needed to, and not battle too hard, because it wasn't his race to battle in really.
Yeah, it seemed to be Andreas was struggling a little bit to just settle down and get him to a rhythm in the early stages of the race. maybe just maybe not used to being up at the front as much as up at the front like he has been tonight, especially in qualifying. But maybe just decide to let the likes of Dave Jr. go by, and they just settle into the race, and because but once he done that, he still had the lead of the silver or pro-am class, and he's all by himself in that class, and they got a comfortable margin. But as a look at Peter Vanya, in 12th place at the moment, they currently in a battle with it looks like De Bruyne in the BMW. So yeah, still some battles going on in this race as we come into the closing stages as well. So yeah, not many laps left to go. I think I believe we've got about 5 or 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, and yeah, that rule as Vanya runs wide, but this actually isn't for class position. So Vanya hasn't actually lost any positions in terms of his class. So he's still running P6 currently. He would have to catch Ryan Leach there, just going out the picture, through into turn 1 to actually battle into the next for his next position in terms of class. Whereas obviously De Bruyne has obviously got to get past Leach and then battling with Nibau to really sort of get any additional points in his championship battle.
Yep, and this battle's still going on as well. But I'm just thinking about it. I was thinking about driver of the race for me, and I can't really decide who to choose. But I think the obvious choice would probably be Luca Felipe. But I think I'm going to go for someone different. Andreas Gallen in the 4th place and leading the silver class, just because it looked like in the early stages of the race he was feeling slightly rattled and making some mistakes. But once he started, he stopped making those mistakes. He's just managed to pull a gap to the rest of the drivers in the silver class or AM class, and they just managed to pull away and build a gap.
Yeah, I've got a couple of drivers. Medina, who's been just steady away, just sort of battling in the mid pack. He's taken up 5 places to looking like he's going to finish on the podium for the Pro-Am class, and actually Tim Nibau, who's made up 7 places in this race. So again, what a great drive there for him. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be on the podium, but great race from him in the Audi, and again that looks the car's looking pretty settled there for him. So hence why he's had a good race. Look, just kept it quiet, kept it on the track, and kept it pointing in the right direction.
Excuse me, absolutely. As the Tim Nibauer comes across the line now, and they're still doing well, running inside the top 10 overall, and he was involved in some battles earlier on in the race, but it looks like after the pit stops he's not really been challenged by anyone. But as we come to the closing stage of the race now, it's pretty much the stage of the race where, I find anyway, where if I'm not really being attacked by anyone or under pressure, I normally just tell myself just to take it easy and get it to the end of the race. But the only downside of taking it easy sometimes towards the end of the race is that you do tend to lose. Someone's in the wall. That's Danny de Swart.
Well, that's going to be a bit painful. I think that could potentially get Spenkelink back up into. There is some Spenkelink just behind him, and that could give him quite a bit of damage. So I think he may be lucky to finish the race in that position, and certainly Spenkelink will be thinking that he's going to get the opportunity to go past. And again, he's still braking into that corner. I'm still amazed it's not just a lift.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just the way the car is, or it's maybe just a driver comfort thing. Maybe just tapping the brake to keep the front end turned in, and that long right hander, and just to try and stop it running wide.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, it could be that. Obviously, being a front engine car is, it's certainly a bit of a beast in terms of its weight as well. So that certainly might give it a bit of an extra turning if it needs it. But it certainly looks like he looks like he's got a lot of turning on that corner. He certainly takes it quite tight, the second part of it certainly, and that may be why. was looking like he's drifting out wide there though, so he's losing a little bit of grip there behind the Audi, and the SWAT's doing really well, having hit the wall pretty hard to actually be continuing to drive. I wonder if we can get an in-car shot, see if his steering wheel is actually straight.
Yeah, I was going to say, just watching the angle of the way it hit the wall, I wonder if it was just a straight on hit and not maybe not side on as such. Looking at the steering, it doesn't look to be too bad, and thinking about it looks like the straight line speed's not being affected that much.
Yeah, like I say, it looks like he's got away with it there. A bit lucky to not have too much damage. As Benklik makes the move up the inside into turn 12, and looks like he's make it stick, but just what looks like he's going to try and get the switch back, but don't think he's going to make it round the outside there. But again, looking the switch back again.
Wow.
So, certainly hasn't got the damage, but into the outside into turn 15. But yeah, don't think he's going to get any joy back over there, and nearly takes off over the sausage curbs there. But it's can actually give you a little bit of damage as well. In the olden days when the sim was quite new, you'd hit those sausages too hard, and you'd pick up all sorts of little knocks.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like the SWAT's starting to fall back now, so I think the SWAT maybe just deciding to be sensible and get to the finish now, but Sam's Finkelink moves up into 6th position now, and toward the end of the race we've got about 5 minutes, and just gone up for about 5.5 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, so P5 overall now for Spenkelink. So in terms of class, so again, just running wide there into the exit of turn 1. He doesn't need to push so hard like he is. So it does look like Danny Deswart is really suffering with his car after that incident. Put up a brave fight with Spenkelink there to try and keep him behind which was basically just one lap, really, wasn't it? So, but Bentley still looks a little bit loose there in terms of its drifting around some of those corners. It's definitely going to be looking like a bit of a struggle towards the back end of this race for Spenkelink, which isn't what you want, as we see Johan Planus and Sander Vale battling for class 2, 3, about, I think that's P7, isn't it? So still some good points up for grabs here, even though he's going to be finishing last in terms of his class. I still want to make sure you get that extra couple of points by getting ahead of Sander. And look at Aston just stretching its legs as it gets out of the corner, and Planus had no chance of any sort of draft, but it looks like you're going to try and get a bit of the switch back there, but looks like Sander Vale has managed to get on the power just quick enough to block Planus off into the inside into turn 2, and now up into the S's. This is where the mid-engine cars should really outperform the Aston Martin. I think that's Clive Barney coming through there. So Planus is going to have to wait for the opportunity, as Clive Barney said, flashing his lights at Sander Vale to get by, and Sander Vale's really not going to want to let him by until the straight, really, and just a little lift maybe off into the straight to make sure he doesn't lose too much time as he does there. Let's Clive Barney through, but as Planus looks to go on the inside, and I'm not sure that was even a touch, really, and that's a bit of an odd situation, that one, I think, wasn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, I was a bit confused. Excuse me, a bit confused by that.
It looks like he was probably a little bit early on the throttle, and just the limit of grip on the rear tyres was not enough.
As we're getting to round about the final 3 minutes of the race, and you can definitely see it now. It's getting to that sunset stage of the race, where it's getting a little bit darker as well now. So yeah, I think some of these drivers are probably thankful they're not racing into the darkness, because I've done a race around Cota in the dark, or when it gets dark, and let's just say trying to spot some of your braking points can be an absolute nightmare. As I look at the replay coming up now, and I was like, that's a bit of a lunge, and a good spin out as well to round it off.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he's. He could have actually, he could potentially have actually made that move stick. It was a very late lunge, but obviously Sarnavel saw it coming, gave him room, and just probably got a bit excited, buried the throttle, and around he went. As Ryan Leach has got a drive through.
Yeah, so
it's killer, isn't it, when you get to the last of the end of the race?
Yeah, I think that might just be track. Yeah, it's probably track limits, I believe. So, yeah, especially the last couple of minutes, when you get a drive through, it's probably the most frustrating thing to happen. But Ryan Leach, currently 11th, but he'll probably end up falling back a few places after he serves that drive through. But as you see there, it's like I was talking about, it's definitely getting slightly darker, and as you can tell by the headlights being on now as well, the headlights are definitely a lot brighter.
Yeah, this track does look great at night, as you can see in the background there are some floodlights around it. It's not completely dark like some of the tracks we race on at night. Spa is particularly tricky at night. There's no lights really around that other than the start finish straight, and obviously got the tower that's lit up as well, which it does look fantastic if you get the opportunity to look at it when you're racing around in the dark. But yeah, for us, Ryan Leach again running really wide. He wants to be careful he doesn't get another penalty on top of his drive through, which can happen in the sim. But yeah, and he wants to. It actually probably wanted to actually serve his penalty there, because I think the leader's just behind him actually, so he might not actually get the opportunity to serve the penalty. As he's going to let the leader through there. That's probably going to mean he's going to get an additional penalty on top of his race time, which could be 80 seconds, but we'll see at the end, because he obviously hasn't served his penalty. Yeah, and that was indeed the leader that was coming through, or the leader that was behind him. So yeah, Ryan Leach as well under attack from the. No, as the leader. So Luca Felipe right behind him, coming up to lap him. So I wonder if Felipe is not going to be in a rush to get by since he's got a comfortable margin. But yeah, just watching Felipe as well. He doesn't look too eager to try and get by as quickly as possible. I think he realises he's got a comfortable margin, and there's no need to do anything risky and risk-free throwing away that win. Yeah, there's no point. He's got 27 seconds, so it's literally just get around and finish. He's got to be mindful though, because Leach might actually think, I'll just let the leader by, and that's the end of my race. He might do that. If it's only a 30-second penalty for the drive-through here, if you don't serve it, then it probably works out maybe just a little bit better not to serve it at the end of the race, because I think we had 36 seconds earlier. For a drive-through, so we'll see what it comes out as in terms of the penalty. But if he gets through, I think as long as he gets into the pits before the check at the line, then he may actually clear that penalty. And I think he'll probably want to hope that Luca Filippi doesn't actually. He's actually going round again, so clearly he's going to try and serve it on the very, very last lap and see if he actually gets it cleared before the lap, the last lap of the race. As we get there, Luca Filippi's won with 27 seconds to P2 Clyde Barney. So we're going to be waiting a little bit for Clyde to come around. Here he is, just coming around the back end of the track, onto the start-finish straight, coming around the last corner now. Yep. Yeah, Clyde Barney, the Dutchman coming around the final corner to finish in second place, and they pick up more crucial points to close that gap down in the championship to Jonathan Seville, who wasn't around tonight, and then rounded out the top three is a well-deserved podium for Dave Jr. in third place in the BMW. A great drive by him, and it looked like at one stage he lost that podium, but obviously with Sam Spenkeling getting that drive-through penalty, Dave Jr.'s coming across the line to take his first podium finish of the season, and well-deserved. And they just go slowly across the line, so I don't know if maybe on the cusp of running out of fuel. And then the Swede Andreas Gallant coming across the line to finish in fourth and take the AM class, or
the AM Class 1, and the in fourth and the second place will be Danny de Swart. Second place will be Danny de Swart. In seventh overall, and the second in classes. It looks like I think Nard Cox might have just slowed down before the line and lost the position, I believe. Oh, he didn't lose a position. My bad. I can't. I thought he ran it.
Yeah, the line's a little bit. Yeah, the line's a little bit earlier on. The go line's halfway up, and the end line's further up towards the corner. So it looks like he was just waiting for his teammate.
Okay, yeah, I thought he ran out of fuel there or slowed down too early, but that's Madzima comes across the line to finish in 8th, for Martin van de Kraan in 9th, and Tim Nijbauer finishing in 10th overall, and just waiting for the remaining drivers to come across the line.
So Leach did get a 30-second penalty there at the end. Unfortunately for him, but that probably actually saved him a few seconds in terms of the doing the drive-through, which is clearly not great. But I think it's harking back to was it Michael Schumacher who served his stop-go on the last lap of Silverstone one year.
Oh yeah, I remember that race. I believe that was 1998. So I remember that very well, and I think there was a lot of confusion about that when he done that. But some highlights on the screen right now from the race, and there's there's great racing throughout the field, and some incidents from time to time. But apart from that, it looked like it was a great race, and good hard battles going on. And even though we only had 20 cars, it's still the Cota threw up some great battles. Yeah,
it was. It's always great, as we can see some of the. I think that was Wheelcheck just losing it on the first lap there, unfortunately for him, which really scuppered his race. But some great racing there from Felipe. Just full on control from start to finish. Didn't look back really. Just looked like he had the car under him, and obviously, to the others back, in sort of the midfield from second down to seventh or eighth. Some really good battling at the start of the race there, and unfortunately, it sort of set the tone really for the two in front. They really allowed them to get ahead, and they didn't look back either. So, but Dave Jr. rode his luck there with Sam Spenklink managing to get onto the podium with the drive through there. But you got to be there or thereabouts to take advantage of those gifts when they come along.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Dave Jr. Definitely took a great result, and had to hold off some strong competition and some quick drivers as well to hold on to that podium position. Then I think as soon as Spenklink had his drive through, just managed to hold on and take a well-deserved podium as they looking at one of the moves into the second to last corner, and I saw some incidents here as well, and especially on that pit entry there with Pavlovic hitting that wall in the pit entry. But nevertheless, a great racer overall, and I think with Barney and Spenklink taking points off of Jonathan and Civil, I think we could be in for a close championship battle with two rounds remaining after tonight.
Yeah, it's all still to play for. It's not a runaway, that's for sure. Not like the GT4 season, unfortunately, this season. So it's going to be interesting. Last couple of races, some great tracks to race on. Obviously, it's going to be. Hopefully, Jonathan's back for next week, and you can continue to fight for the championship. So it might be a little bit more difficult if he has another race where he's missing, so hopefully he can make it for the next race.
Just looking to see if we've got anyone in the interview room or interview waiting area, and it looks like you've got second place finisher Clayt Barney joining us. Get your words right, Ryan. Finishing in second place, and taking a great drive as well, and Clayt Barney joining us now. And Clayt, first of all, congratulations on finishing second. Again, it's not the one that you wanted, but still, it's a good bag full of points for the championship.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it was in terms of pace, it was probably my worst race I've ever done. I mean, I was just sliding everywhere, wasn't comfortable with the car. But to be honest, at that point, the aim was just don't get the drive-through and try to survive, get a good P2. I mean, my practice pace was about 8 tenths per lap quicker or even faster. So yeah, it was just struggling a lot. I think I also misjudged the conditions because I expected to be a bit warmer. But anyway, still good position.
Yeah, we were talking about the Honda as well, and what do you think of it? Do you think it suited this the style of this Cota track, or we've heard some people saying they like it, some other people don't seem to get on with it. It seems to be one of those cars it seems to be very on the edge, if you like.
And I think it's also very setup dependent as well, because it's it feels like it has a very small slip angle, so that once you get over, it's very easy to get over the limit, and you either get a lot of understeer or a lot of oversteer. I think I've had a couple of moments where I nearly lost the car. But I think the worst part about it is, let's say, the graining. Because once the tires start to grain, even though you don't have a lot of wear, you just lose so much pace instantly.
And then looking ahead to the next race in 2 weeks, which is at I believe it's at Barcelona. Do you think the Honda's going to be the one of the cars to have around there? Obviously, with the current BOP as well, the Honda seems to be one of those cars that's one of the popular cars to have at the moment. It seems to be very quick in a straight line.
Yeah, and also very quick in qualifying in general. I feel like in race pace, it's lacking a bit, mostly because of, let's say, the tire wear, and especially around Barcelona, it's going to be a challenge. So I'm interested to see what strategy everyone is going to take. But personally, I think Barcelona suits me more than Cota anyway. So yeah, I'm looking way more forward to there than I was here. So I think, yeah, I should be able to be more competitive there.
Before we let you go, Clay, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out or thank you to?
Not necessarily, but to be honest, I mean, just the same as always. I'm happy to be able to race here. Happy with you guys broadcasting it as well, for everyone organizing it. And yeah, obviously a quick shout out, both to SSRi Esports and Alpha Simsport as well for the support they always give me. And yeah, I think that was pretty much everyone.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on finishing second, Clay, and look forward to seeing you on track in 2 weeks' time at the Barcelona.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So that was a second place finisher, Clay Barney, joining us, and up next we have got the winner of tonight's race, the second race win in a row, and Luca Felipe joining us, and Luca, you pretty much dominated tonight, just like you did at Zolder 2 weeks ago. It's becoming a bit of a habit with you.
That would be great. I mean, it's always good to win a race.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the race as well, it's as soon as you got out front, you just pulled away and built up a really big gap. And asking Clay about it, what's the Honda like? Does it suit your driving style? Does it suit the way you set the car up? And how do you have to set the car up if you want to be quick? Do you have to set it up to be oversteery, or how do you go about it?
Personally, I prefer a bit more oversteery cars and much rotation in the car. So maybe not that good on tire wear, but it just feels great to have a pointy car which drives where I want it to drive. I prefer that over like a safe setup.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was watching you a few times tonight as well, and it looked like the car seemed to have really good rear end rotation, especially on corner entry and some of the hairpins. And looking ahead to Barcelona as well, do you think the Barcelona will suit the Honda?
I think it will be great in quali, but I think it will be awful in race, as I did a race on Barcelona a few weeks ago and the tires were just melting after a few laps, so I think the tire wear on Honda will be a huge problem. And
looking ahead to the rest of the season as well, obviously you've only done 2 races in the league so far, or in the league in general. And how are you finding the league community? Are you enjoying it?
yeah, I mean the races are fun. Also the broadcast is great. I've watched the broadcast of the Zolder race again. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, and the competition obviously with Glade is there. It's always fun to do quali and race.
Have you got any questions for Luca, Dave?
Yeah, obviously 2 races to go. The race that's last is obviously Mount Panorama, which is I think a tricky track for the Honda. Have you done any practice on that, or have you only just done stuff for Barcelona so far?
I've done a couple of laps on Bathurst a few days ago because I wanted to try a setup, but not really practice it. But I love the track, so hopefully it's gonna be great.
That's all good. Well done on tonight's race. It was a faultless drive, and congratulations on another win.
Thank you.
That was race winner Luca Felipe joining us, and I think with 2 rounds remaining in the championship, Dave, I think we should be in for a close battle between Jonathan Seville, Clayton Barney, and I think Sven Svenklink, and also it's going to be the ARM Championship as well. It's looking like it's going to be a close battle right up until the last round.
Yeah, it's good to see that we've still got some battles to go. Especially with Barcelona, is the track that everyone's done for pre-season testing to get their class. If they hadn't raced in the previous seasons. Obviously, we do operate a promotion and demotion system, but Bathurst, Mount Panorama, that is a track that can swallow any driver up. So it's not really a track where you get drive-throughs. It's a track where you hit walls and hit them very hard. So that could be an interesting one. But that is obviously on December the 20th, and just one thing for me to say is we have an endurance series that's been running all year with a lot of the guys and girls racing in races once every couple of months, and we have another charity race, 24 hours of Suzuka, which is going to be running over the weekend of the 10th and 11th. Sign-ups are open now. We are supporting again this year Race Against Cancer, which is an excellent charity over in the Netherlands that take young kids and their families off to a race circuit for doing all sorts of different activities around. They had lots of supercars that they could go and have a look at, sit in. The firefighters went along and did a load of stuff with them. So it's a great charity. And last year I think we pushed and we managed to raise, I think it was €13,000 for the charity, which helped them put on the event this year. So please do consider signing up. Sign-ups are open. Just join us in the Discord channel, which just make yourself known and people point you in the right direction for the endurance sign-ups, and please do come and take part. Again, we're going to be running some class tier-ins for the teams as well, so it's a team-based race as you'd expect for the endurance. So we're going to do a little bit of pre-season testing just to see in terms of what pace people are, and give people a fair chance at racing against some people, not just seeing the pro drivers going off into the distance, which sometimes can happen on these long races. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing probably a bit of driving and a little bit of comms as well. I'm sure probably Ryan will join us. And there we go. That's from last year. Nearly €13,000. So great event last year that we had, and I think it was the Wild Things Wannabes that won last year with the SSRi esports team coming in home in second, which was a P1 win for the championship. So it was a good race to be involved in.
Yep. Regarding comms as well, I should be up for doing some comms work on commentary stuff on that, but I just need to check my schedule. But I'll definitely be interested for sure. And more action on the Simsport Simsport Racing International community as well. Coming up next Tuesday as well, we've got the GT4 Championship coming up as well. So I'll be calling alongside Sam Pierce. So yeah, if you're looking to watch some GT4 action, make sure to tune in for that. And yeah, it's been good racing in that series as well. It's been good fun calling it too, and yeah, looking forward to it. It should be a close race, especially the championship, but kind of technically being wrapped up. But the best of the rest places, if you like, is still to be decided. Also, along with the AM class championship, I believe. But yeah, thanks to anyone that's been watching, that's tuned in, and also thanks to Dave for joining me, and Tom for doing his magic on the cameras. And yep, if you want to be notified or want to watch any of the streams back, make sure to click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and be notified of as well of any streams that happen in the future. But yeah, from me, from Dave, and from Tom, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.